Okay, all of you party people, week 1 is here.
Yeah, the espresso's been consumed.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's go, Lucas.
I've been doing this brown sugar, oat milk.
Yeah, you have.
Concoction. It's hitting all the right spots.
It's a caffeination sensation up in this mother jumper.
Well played. We needed a little something to get to the finish line,
we did.
And we got it.
It's been a good week. It's been a long week.
It hasn't. It's actually been a short week.
Didn't
Facts.
we have Monday off? God, it's been a long week.
But
it was the best of times.
Yeah.
It was the worst
Talking to me all week, it's exhausting.
It's the listening that wears me out.
That too. But don't stop acting like you're listening. Anyway, it all starts at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Make sure you're with us here on 95.7 The Game. 2 hours before game time, the kickoff show. Evan Giddings and Lorenzo Neal. And then immediately following the end of the game, overtime is going to break it all down with Grandy and Alan Stiles and Sterling Bennett before and after every single game. Listen right here on 95.7 The Game, your home for the best red and gold coverage. When you talk about the best football coverage, one of our absolute favorite people to talk to when the subject is anything related to the pigskin is our good buddy, Sean Salisbury. It's been too long. How are you, my friend?
Doing great, gentlemen. How are you? Good to be on with you. It's that time. Appreciate you having me.
It is that time, Sean. And with your quarterbacking expertise, will you please jump right into the conversation we've been having today and tell
about Clayton Tune?
Exactly. Exactly. Would you have been able to name the Cardinals' backup quarterback before now?
Yes, I would have because I watched. Well, I mean, I like to think that I pay a little. Now, if you ask me who the backup quarterback right now is in, let's see, maybe. Well, there's a handful of teams that right now you'd say you'd have to think twice. I knew because Clayton Tune played here in Houston at the University of Houston, and there had been a lot of banner that when he went there that he was going to play if Kyler Murray couldn't. And Josh Dobbs, I think, is the other guy, too. So, it is Dobbs, right? See, you're asking me to start.
It is Dobbs, I think.
Yes, right.
Yes.
But I knew with Clayton, again, because Dobbs has been on a handful of teams, done a decent job as a backup. But, yeah, Clayton Tune, he's been here it felt like he was here for like 7 years at the University of Houston, but did a nice job and was well coached by Dana. It gives you he can make plays with his feet and his arm. I think he's sneaky. He's under radar guy, man. He was a good player in college, and if he's coached right and in Arizona, who the hell knows if that'll happen? But he's got a little bit of skill set. He does. I mean, he's got a skill set, but he just needs some experience. So I did know who he was.
What if we did actually test your knowledge on this real quick? New York Giants.
Don't do it.
New York Giants backup QB.
Well, don't do it, dude. You're putting me on. Let's see. New York Giants backup quarterback.
Yep.
Give me his first name.
Oh, well, then his first name is, it's going to totally give it away. His first name is Tyrod.
Tyrod. No, it isn't. It's not Tyrod. It's Tyrod.
Well, you can say it either way. Either way.
Clean it up.
No,
Tyrod, you can't.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor.
You can't. That's like saying you could say Sam Donald. You can call him Sim.
No, I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
Tyrod Taylor.
No, it's Tyrod
you're not
Taylor.
Even close.
Ask him.
No, Tyrod Taylor.
It's Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, well, tomato.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, who's the Lion? Who's Jared Goff's backup?
Jared Goff's backup is. Give me his first name.
Well, again, this is Teddy.
If you say Tyrod, huh? Oh, it's Bridgewater. Yeah, that's right.
I call him Tidy, but that's just me. That's my name for him. Yeah.
Teddy Tidewater.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So come on.
All right.
Welcome to Stunt the Guest with Sean Salisbury.
Let's talk about.
And you know what? Keep on a stunt. Nobody knew my name, and I was a backup either. So there you go.
All right. Let's talk about a starting quarterback, and we've been sitting here all day, and just honestly, it's quite frankly, I don't think there's a wrong answer. But I wonder where 49er fans are at on this, and so we wonder where you are. Where do you think the Brock Purdy story is going? Who do you think he is going to be in this league?
Well, I can tell you this. On my show and a couple other shows I've been a guest on today, and we made our predictions, I got Brock Purdy quarterbacking him in a Super Bowl this year. Well, I got Brock Purdy as starting quarterback in a Super Bowl this year with the 49ers.
Yep.
That's where I got him. Now, if you're talking about parlaying it out a decade from now, 5 years from now, you got to be lucky, got to stay healthy, all those things. Listen, I believe The 49ers made the right decision. He earned it. Okay, he earned the position, and I trust Kyle Shanahan's judgment on this. I think he just gives you the best chance to win. Why they moved on from Lance, and the Cowboys didn't take much of a risk with Trey Lance. They just didn't by trading a 4th-round pick for him, because you're not going. There's not a huge risk factor there if it turns out and he turns into a Geno Smith changing venues and turns into a player or a starter. Great, and hopefully he will. Because I don't think we need to quit on him yet, but I think a change was good and needed. So with Purdy, accurate, tough. He's never going to wow you with the throws that some of the spectacular Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Josh Allen stuff. But I will tell you this: I've seen more quarterbacks last in this league over my career, whether it's a teammate or covering the sport or just trying to evaluate it and watch from a distance, that make the ordinary play. See, the best quarterbacks in the world, or the ones that last and sustain careers, make the ordinary play all the time. The next level of freak show alien makes the extraordinary play look ordinary part of the time. No, nobody makes the extraordinary. We get this Mahomes factor that, he's always falling on the ground, throwing it behind his back, throwing sidearm. He does that, but you know what? He still makes the ordinary play. Last year's Super Bowl wasn't a lot of extraordinary plays. It was just some ordinary plays. He didn't have to throw 50 times. Those great ones, Breeze, Montana, Brady, go over the course of their career. Manning, they hit big plays, but they didn't miss the check down. They hit the shallow crosser. They did what Goff did last night. You hit the mesh play for the first touchdown. You make those plays. And then the next guy who gets paid $300 million or whatever it is, then they make the spectacular one. They win Super Bowls. Purdy will make the ordinary play the majority of the time, and that's where you're going to live most of the time. So do I ever think he's going to lead the league in passing? No. Do I ever think he's going to be Joe Montana or Steve Young? No. Do I think he's got a long career if he stays healthy in the league and I don't need him to be 6'4", 225? Absolutely. I think he can sustain, like those guys know, but can he sustain an outstanding career and be the starting quarterback for the 49ers for the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah, especially with that team and that coach. If the personnel stays good, why not? On that team, all you got to do is make the ordinary play, not miss a corner route in a playoff game or a Super Bowl. Make the ordinary play, and you end up becoming an extraordinary quarterback.
Is that very statement you made, and it's one that I kind of agree with, Sean, and I've been saying it for the better part of 5 years on this very radio station, but is that a condemnation of Brock Purdy, or is it more just a praise of Kyle Shanahan and what he does with an offense?
Both. It's not. Both. The praise for both. It's not a condemnation at all. I asked I'll leave his name out, but he's a coordinator that you guys would know. He's been a head coach coordinator and is really, really good and been good at his job for a long time. I asked him one time, I said, I need to know when somebody says the word game manager, what do you say? He goes, ultimate compliment on my quarterback. And I thought, well, that's interesting because normally it's taken as a negative connotation. Now, I didn't call Brock Purdy a game manager. I've seen him make some plays, but we seem to be – it's like guys in baseball. Nowadays, you hit 220, but drive-in runs and hit the ball 450 feet and hit 35. Look at Max Muncy. Muncy, right, what's he hit? About 205? But Muncy's got 30-plus home runs, been hurt, been off and on. We love him. He'll be in the league for as long as he needs to. Hell, Stanton's a great example of that. All that money hits it a country mile, but you know what? He doesn't make the ordinary play. Can't hit me a single to save his life with a guy on third base, but he'll hit it 450 feet with one hand. It's the same thing here, and I agree with the coordinator that I talked to, and I've agreed a long time. See, the guys like me or the guys who sit in the middle have been a backup and a starter. We can make a phenomenal throw one time, and then all of a sudden it's 3rd and 2, ball's behind a guy, it hits off his back shoulder, goes in the ground. Brock Purdy, and we're still in the infancy of his career. Hell, we've seen him for a year. But the quantum leap he made throughout the season to just grasp and think about the comfort zone you got. Again, Goff's a good example. Rams to the Lions, he looks more confident. Purdy just looks like he belongs in a Shanahan system. And I don't know why we fault players. I'm not saying you did, but we seem to diminish them or try to shrink them when they get a good play caller and a coordinator. Ben Johnson's killing it in Detroit. Goff's responded. Hell, when Walsh was with Montana, Joe wasn't the most gifted thrower down the field and a powerful arm, but he and Walsh meshed. to perfection. Joe's brain was through the roof. He knew where to throw it, on time and with accuracy. So, like I said, I'm not putting Purdy in that category yet. Who would after 1 year? But to me, a game manager is Peyton Manning. Hitting the guys when they're open, getting us to the right play. It's Drew Brees. It's Tom Brady. It's not even a big part of it, Mahomes. It's just the Mahomes of the world and Allen's are just come from a different planet, and they can do stuff that the normal dude just can't do, or even the good player. So I don't think it's condemnation on Brock Purdy. I think it's a compliment that he can operate all the verbiage and the stuff Kyle does and then execute it the way he wants him to. Now, is he going to run around for 5 seconds and throw a 75-yard pass like Mahomes would for a touchdown? That answer is no. He can't live there. He'll make a throw in a hole shot once in a while, and then to have a coordinator that brings out what his skill set is. The coach's job is to put his players and a quarterback in the best position to succeed, to win. I don't know why the general population or on Twitter or whenever we say, oh, yeah, he was 22 of 25, but for 290 yards. But you know what? He didn't throw the deep ball. And so if you can't stop him, listen, if you can't take that away from me, then you're just an idiot on defense. Make me do the things that maybe I got to get out of my comfort zone. So I think it's a compliment that Kyle knows how to put him in the right spot. It's a compliment that Kyle trusts his mind and his ability to process information. And it's a compliment to Purdy that he executes what they do. He wouldn't have been real good probably in Al Davis's, vertical passing game where it's the mad bomber. But you know what? We're at a time now. How many times, guys, in college, everything's living by spread, shallow cross, mesh, bubble screen, hit the dig route, hit the curl route. And when you run play action and you got the deep post, make sure if it's there, you hit it. But we live about 0 to 10 to 15 yards. That's where the majority of your throws are made. And if you can do that, you can excel at the position of this league. It's the guy who goes 8 of 22 and makes a spectacular play 4 times, but misses 12 throws that he should have made. He may look good once in a while and be the player of the week. He cannot sustain a long, successful career. He'll eventually get replaced.
Sean Salisbury with us here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Sean, as someone who understands the physicality and the preparation of this sport, what is your thought about Nick Bosa playing this weekend?
Oh, listen, if he's not, I would imagine, knowing his grind and his intensity, that he's in shape. Okay, I would imagine that's going to be okay. He deserved to be the highest paid player, defensive player ever. I think I picked him to be the defensive player of the year this year. I think his motor, his attitude, all that. And it's a physical game. Now, who knows? Because there's a big difference, guys, in whether you're in pads or out of pads. I mean, we can run forever. We can go out and run sprints. I've seen it with my quarterbacks. I can put pads on and then drop back quarterback movements. I have a guy throwing up in a trash can because it's just different. So I don't know if you're going to get a steady diet of 70 plays out of him, but if you do, I wouldn't have a problem saying, oh, he'll have a great game. So physically, I'm not worried. Mentally, understanding what they're trying to do. And in certain games, guys, sometimes when you go into this and you're, okay, we got him in, we haven't had him the whole time, got this new deal, you know what happens is you just say, listen, we're going to give you the base stuff, cut it loose, go do your thing, and he'll fall into some plays. So if it was a running back or a receiver that hadn't had any work and they'd been hurt for 6 months and this is their first day back, different story. But I'm not really overly worried about him, and I think there's a way you can manipulate and navigate a defense. I'm more concerned with the coordinator, like with D'Amico and with Bobby Slowick, who are both here, how they respond to that stuff in a regular season game against the Pittsburgh Steelers team. So I'm not overly worried about Bosa, and if it doesn't look like Bosa right away, it won't take long. It won't. There's a reason why he's getting paid all that money. He's
Sean,
fabulous.
Yeah, without a doubt, and we look forward to getting 97 back out there and watching him absolutely turn it loose on opposing quarterbacks. What is it about week 1 that makes it so hard to not only forecast, but makes it tough on the players to really predictably play as well as they do later in the year?
I think it's a couple things, and it's a hell of a question. I think we try to bottle it up and sell it if we could, if we knew the exact answer. I think training camp, quite frankly, as a player, you love it. You do. As a fan and a broadcaster, I think it sucks. You know why? Because they've shortened. I go back, and it's not the old head, but I go back even when I played. We were there 4 to 5 weeks. You were there and grinding twice a day. I just don't think we get enough work. I don't mean kill a guy. And like Goff played well last night, took him a minute. He didn't play at all in the preseason. We can go around the league for guys. I wouldn't play a running back. McCaffrey wouldn't touch one ball in the preseason. Some guys need it. Backups trying to make teams. But we don't do it long enough. The meetings are so important. That's why the grind of practice to me is far more important than 8 throws in a friggin' preseason game when they're playing base coverage. So I think it's you're late starting because you put your library in, but you don't get enough reps at it. You just don't. And it's different intensity when preseason to regular season to playoffs to Super Bowl. The intensity changed. So I think you're behind. All teams are because how shortened training camp is, how minimum we don't play a lot of them. And so when you're not getting that much look, now you got to force yourself to be that intrinsic guy that's driven by you and to do it on your own and to study extra. And I think the other thing is the guys understand that you're looking at last year's tape. Okay, what the coordinators can change. You're not real. Look what Dion's team did to TCU. If you're Sonny Dykes, you didn't even have a lot of tape. It's like, man, I don't know what he's going to throw at us. We know Jackson State. We know what Shedeur Sanders does, but I'm not real sure. So even though the same coaching staff may be there other than a few changes, I just think off seasons, not sure, a change, a guy playing here. Some guys are doing it different. We're making change. We're adding Todd Monken to Baltimore. How different is he for Lamar Jackson? And in San Francisco, they've had changes. I just think it takes them a minute to get going because the main thing is we just don't get enough work in the preseason like we used to.
Sean Salisbury here, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Sean, there's been a preseason buzz about improvement for Kenny Pickett. What is your evaluation of him as a quarterback?
I'm really excited. There's questions. We always ask, okay, if you were going to putting lists together, and I've kind of played this and written down some things, say, like 10 things that I'm really intrigued to see, or that I'm like, how are they going to be? Like, for instance, Geno Smith. Is this who he is? Or when he came into the league, who he is? Is Geno this Pro Bowl guy? Is Aaron Rodgers refreshed, and is the attitude in training camp really, are the Jets a legit? These questions that we want answered. And one of them for me is Kenny Pickett, because I look at the division. If Deshaun Watson's who we expect him to be, they should be better, and so should he. We already know about Burrow. The guy's a freak. And then Lamar Jackson with Monken, and I thought Monken was as good an offensive coordinator we've had in college football that wasn't a head coach like Lincoln Riley or, God rest Mike Leach's soul, calling plays. I love him, and I think it's going to be a great thing for Lamar Jackson. So we're quarterback heavy. It's a good division. I think, and being named team captain this quickly, early on, it tells you, which to me, not what we think, what the dudes in the club, the locker room think about him. Old Kenny Two Gloves. I know he can rip it now, and I know if Mike Tomlin believes in you, I have zero reason to question it. That guy just doesn't lose. If there's three coaches better, somebody find him for me. So I think he'll put him in position. I like the way he throws. I think he's got guts. And he'll take shots. And I like a guy who's not afraid to take a shot. That team is sneaky. And judging by the history, we can almost guarantee they ain't losing more than they're winning this year. That's who Mike Tomlin is. I think Kenny Pickett's going to take another step. And in a class of quarterbacks that we thought was blah, he was the first-round guy. I think he's kind of validated the fact that they like where he's going. Now, it's only his second year, but I would expect leaps from him to another level because I think they believe in him. They can run the football. They've got some talent on the perimeter. And I think Kenny Pickett now believes he is that he's playing in his backyard, familiarity. I believe that division's one of the best, if not as good as there is in this league at the quarterback position from 1 to 4 in a division.
Now that Kansas City is done, Sean, who's your AFC pick to go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, put a fork in them. They're finished.
It's over, Sean. I'm sorry. It's done.
You guys really
Andy
want to
Reid
know
on the hot seat, right?
Finish. Yeah, it's time, man. Get him out. It's time to get rid of him. Yeah, done.
Yep.
Done. And if Detroit loses this week, fire Dan Campbell if they lose their second game, right?
Completely agree.
That's the way it is. That's nothing hyperbolic about that. You know what? My Final Four, I had, we do this and make predictions. It'll change with some injury somewhere, but we got to do it. I took a 49ers-Eagles, And I said, now the 49ers have a quarterback in that. And I had 49ers getting home field advantage and beating Philadelphia. In the AFC, the Buffalo's in vogue. The Jets are an in vogue pick, although some think Buffalo's going to take a step back. I took Baltimore and Cincinnati. I don't even have the Chiefs getting to the Final Four.
Wow.
Or to the AFC
Looking
Championship
good now.
game. Yeah, I got Baltimore and I got Cincinnati. Cincinnati wins that one because I think they're going to win the division, and I think they're going to have home field advantage. Hell, Jacksonville may sneak in and get home field advantage in a horrible division they're in the AFC South. And I got the 49ers, and I said this on the show, guys. I got the 49ers and the Bengals, but I'm flipping the script. Wasn't the John Candy game Joe Montana, John Candy?
That was Bengals.
The slant route to John Taylor for the win, right?
Yes.
Wasn't that Super Bowl?
Yes, it was.
I said on my show it's going to be eerily similar, but it's going to be Burrow that takes the team down and wins on a last-second throw to like Jamar Chase or one of those receivers on some kind of fade route or post route for the win. It'll be a great game, but the Bengals win the Super Bowl on a walk-off by Burrow late against the 49ers. That's what I picked.
Okay, you do think the 49ers are going to go 1-0, though, this weekend, right?
Oh, I do, but I think it's one of the great games on the schedule.
Yeah. You know what? Looking at, and I don't expect you to remember everything that Brock did in the regular season last year, but a few of the people listening to our show have said this will be his toughest regular season game and road trip of his career, right? He won a couple of home playoff games. Then he went on the road and barely got to play. Like, in looking at what he did at the end of last year, he comes in at home against Miami, home to Tampa. He has that roadie with a broken rib at Seattle, home Washington, road Vegas, home Arizona. Is that a fair statement? Is this like the hardest regular season assignment he's ever had?
Probably in such early part of his career. And you know what? Regardless of what happened, if he would have won them all or lost them all, to me, it's just another. You gain experience one way or the other. How you deal with how last year is up to the individual, right? If he'd have been awful, does he go in the offseason, grind, come back and say, that's not who I am? If you won them all, do you go and say, I live here, or is it just built in, this is who I am too? So, yeah, I think that's a fair statement to say, especially this early. Headed on the road, a very difficult place to play against a well-coached team that I think they're 2-point favorites, meaning the Niners on the road. You know Pittsburgh's going to be around, and they know they like fistfights, man.
Yep.
Pittsburgh likes them. But you know what? As Dan Campbell said about his team last night, he goes, we're built for stuff like this, so I'm not surprised. We know how to overcome it. I actually think Brock Purdy's built for stuff like this. I do. And I'm not worried one bit about his poise on the road. He'll make some throws. He'll get knocked around a little bit. That's who Pittsburgh is, and we'll see how he deals with it. I fully expect him to play good enough football to go on the road and win, and I think it's a field goal game.
Sean, it's great to have you, brother. It's great to hear you again.
Be on. You guys are awesome, man. Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking to you guys throughout the season.
Yep, we're going to do it again. There it goes. Sean Salisbury right here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game.